Podcast Guesting Masterclass. We're so excited to be here with you. This week, I'm Jessica Rhodes, the founder and co owner of Interview Connections. We're the world's leading and first ever podcast booking agency. And we are here to teach you live this week how to get clients from podcast guesting and build your brand as a podcast guest. Margie and I grew Interview Connections to its first seven-figure year back in 2019. We had not run any paid ads. We had a very tiny social media presence and a very small email list of mostly our clients. And the way we grew Interview Connections was by networking, it was by relationship building, and our primary vehicle for doing that was podcast guesting.
I am Margie. I'm the CEO of Interview Connections. I am so excited to be part of this masterclass with you. If we don't know each other personally, I'm also a huge animal lover. I have a lot of rescue pets and I have a 9-month-old baby. So there's a lot going on in this house. And I'm glad that I can go on podcasts and get visibility without having to leave the house. So you will have access to the replays, like I just said, until Monday at midnight. So I know at least someone here who didn't catch our session one yesterday. If that's you, make sure you catch up on the sessions before they expire. We emailed you the replay page. If you have any questions or you didn't get that email, please let us know in the chat. Workbook. Does everybody have their workbook? Just put a link in the chat, interviewconnections.com/workbook. Make sure you have that to follow along. These sessions are very actionable, info packed. So having the ability to take notes is very, very helpful. And we have another giveaway. So for everyone attending live today, we will be doing a microphone giveaway again at the end. So stay with us till the end so that you can win that microphone.
Yes, congratulations to Joe who won the microphone yesterday. Got his address, sent that out. He'll have it by tomorrow morning. I think he's catching the replays the rest of the week, but we chatted on LinkedIn. So super excited for Joe to win that. Quick recap of the sessions if you're just jumping in. Yesterday was session one, where we talked about the secrets to getting clients from podcast guesting. This is why you're here. You want visibility so you can land more dream clients in your business. And that was the focus of session one. Today is session two. Podcast guest media training. In order to monetize your podcast interviews, you need to be a great guest, which starts before the interview even takes place. So, in today's session, we're going to walk you through our top tips on how to be a compelling interviewee in the interview, as well as our top tips of what to do before and after the interview to fully leverage the opportunity. Tomorrow is session three, how to repurpose your podcast interviews. We're going to be talking about super actionable ways that you can leverage your podcast interview content to book more consultations and close more sales. And then on Thursday, that's our final session. Podcast guesting success stories. This is your opportunity to hear directly from your peers, other successful business owners who are actively getting interviewed on podcasts and experiencing the results that we're talking about this week. Again, all the sessions are recorded live here on Zoom, and then they're going to be sent out to you each afternoon. The replay page will be live until Monday at midnight. Now, let's say yes in the chat if you've got your workbook, you've got a place to take notes, and you are ready for podcast guest media training. Say yes in the chat right now if you are ready to learn how to be a great guest and monetize your podcast appearances. Yes, 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 yes. Let's go.
All right, beautiful. So the first step is to have a one sheet. This is something that Jess invented actually in 2013. It's something that we make for all of our clients, and it is branded to your branding. It's got your headshot, it's got your bio, it's got your suggested topics and questions, and your social media handles. And it is literally a one sheet. That's not just an expression. It should only be one page. And this is something that when we're pitching our clients to host, we attach the one sheet so that the host can take a look, have that bio that they're going to use to introduce you on podcasts, and see the suggested topics and questions so that they know what the interview is going to look like. This makes the host job really, really easy. It makes it easy for them to say yes. And it cues you up to tell your best stories and share the most value with those suggested topics or questions. So with your bio, this is your opportunity to communicate in not too many words who you are and what your expertise is. It's also a good idea to have a little bit of something personal at the end that shows who you are as a person, because podcast guesting is very human. This is human connection. So sometimes that little something can help you stand out. You never know when a podcast host is going to say, like, oh, you're really into horses. I have a horse. Perfect. I want to interview you. We had someone connect. I think it was he did like home pickling or something, and he put it in his
Yes.
bio. And the host accepted him on the show because he was like very into the pickling. So you never know. Just be yourself. Have that little flair in your bio. So here's an example. I'm going to read from Jess's bio. And again, your bio on your one sheet is not your super long bio. This is a short bio that a host can read to introduce you on a podcast. So here's Jess's. Jessica Rhodes, founder of Interview Connection, helps entrepreneurs amplify their authority by leveraging podcast guesting. With over 40,000 interviews booked, she knows how to transform conversations into revenue generating opportunities. Pretty good, right? So it doesn't have to be perfect. Don't overthink it. But you want to think about someone reading this bio out loud to introduce you, and how is it positioning you? So for your topics and questions, you want to avoid topics and questions that are obviously self-serving, right? Remember that podcast guesting is very different from a webinar or from a summit. You're not selling, you're giving value. So you don't want things that are about, like, tell us about your program and how you work with people. You want topics that are broader than that and that will give value to the audience. So even if they don't work with you, they will get value from listening to your interview. It's not an infomercial and it's not a sales pitch. And this is something, if you've done a lot of summits, podcast guesting really is different. People sometimes use them interchangeably, but they are very different things. You want topics that tease the value that you can bring to the audience. So again, as a host, when I look at your one sheet, I want to see, what would this interview look like? Is this something my audience would be interested in? And they're going to gauge that based on the topics and questions. Be specific so you stand out as a unique and interesting guest. So, what is your specific modality or methodology that you use to help your clients succeed? What are the things that are uniquely you? The more that you can include that, the more that you will stand out as a great guest that they'll want to say yes to.
All right. So I want you to say me in the chat if you need a podcast one sheet. If you don't have a podcast one sheet yet and you're like, I got to make a one sheet. That is my takeaway so far today. Just type me in the chat. Trust me, this is a must have. You need this as a podcast guest. So tell me in the chat right now if you've got to get a one sheet made for yourself. I need, hey Zeus, we got you
Zeus.
covered. Me, I got to make a one sheet. Me. I need a one sheet. Yes, you need a one sheet. Everyone who signs up with Interview Connections, we're going to make it for you. So don't even worry about that. Book your call at interviewconnections.com/call. Now let's keep it going. We're going to talk about how to be a great guest. So the second step to being media ready as a podcast guest is to be a compelling guest in the actual interview. Of course, when we're working with our clients at Interview Connections, we do an interview audit every 10 bookings to help them improve their skills as a guest and see a bigger ROI from podcast guesting. Can I get a yes in the chat from seeing a bigger ROI from podcast guesting and like blowing away the podcast host? So they say, oh my God, that was the best interview I've ever done. You are the best guest I've ever had. If you want hosts to respond to you like that at the end of your interview, this is the session for you. So keep listening. Here are the 8 things we listen for in our audits of our clients that will help you show up as a professional and compelling podcast guest that hosts are obsessed with. Number 1, confidence. This is the domino skill. Margie and I met at a door-to-door canvassing job. Has anyone else done door-to-door sales? Has anyone else done door-to-door anything, community organizing, fundraising, sales? Who else has knocked on people's doors who didn't ask them to knock on their door? If so, you are our people and you get it. When you knock on someone's door, you need to be confident because they're already, currently canvassing, like right this minute, Lynn. So love that. Stop it. Lynn said they're currently canvassing right now. Wow, that's incredible. Okay. Yes. So when you are canvassing, you need to be confident. And the same goes for when you're a podcast guest. Now, there are a few different ways that you can show that you are confident. There's confident tone, ending your sentences confidently, not with upspeak like you're asking a question. We are all familiar with this. We have likely all done this at one point in our life, before learning about speaking confidently, where we're speaking and we're ending with a question. So you want to be confident on your podcast interviews. Like when your tone goes up at the end, it's showing a lack of confidence. So confident tone is about ending your sentences with a period or an exclamation point, not a question mark. That's really important. Confident language. When Margie and I learned canvassing, part of the training at the organization we worked at was that you could not use the word try. So we were canvassing to save the environment. So when we said we're trying to save the environment, our trainer would say, stop and start over. We're not trying to do it, we're doing it. We're working to do it. So not using any words that are unconfident or show that you're not certain of the results that you can achieve for your clients. You also want to avoid filler words. Put it in the chat. What is your filler word that you say it and you need to work on it? All right, tell me your filler words right now. Rebecca says I use like. Who else has a filler word? So like, so everyone has it, so don't feel bad about it. The more confident you are, the less you will have filler words that make people feel like they can't trust you. And you're not going to suddenly be confident after this training because you heard me tell you that you need to not say filler words. The way you're going to get confident is by practicing, listening back to your interviews, practicing, getting coaching. But being aware of these skills is the first step.
Also, confident body language. So, posture, eye contact.
Oh, I'm so sorry I missed that, Margie.
I got you, girl. I'm hopping in
Like,
with the
come on,
last
Margie,
one, and
it's
then
your
I'm going to
turn.
seamlessly transition into the next point.
Confidence. I just ignored my next note and I handed the microphone over to Margie.
But it is a good example, right? Because podcasts are totally unscripted. So you're going to be improving, and the more that you do it, the better you will get at improving. So confident body language, good posture. We say a lot doing the Superman pose before you have an interview, especially if you're nervous. So you stand up, put your hands on your hips, you have your shoulders back. Holding that pose standing up for a few minutes can really, like, in your body, it lowers your cortisol, it actually changes your hormones, and it can really help with confidence. So try that tip. All right, storytelling. Number 2. This is huge. And this is actually, I had a call with someone who did like PR. He was a PR expert for like celebrities. And he said, if you see a celebrity who's like making the rounds on, like, they're promoting an album, they're promoting a movie, if you watch all of their interviews, you will notice that they tell the same stories again and again and again, but they tell the story so conversationally as if it's just happening to come up in that interview. But if you actually watch them all side by side, they're just telling the same stories over and over. Storytelling is so important. Facts tell, stories sell. I'm so proud I got those words out correctly, right? Stories are going to bring your answers to life, and they're going to bring you to life as a person on your podcast. It's going to create an emotional connection with your audience, which is ultimately what is going to magnetize your future clients to you. So you can share stories of how you help your clients, the story of how you came to be doing what you're doing. There's so many stories that you probably tell all the time, but you might not think about it. So when you're doing your one sheet, you want to be queuing up for your suggested questions. What is a story I could tell to answer this question? And so if you have 5 suggested questions, look at, okay, what story could I tell here? What story could I tell here? What story could I tell here? Now, it's not going to be scripted because these are conversational. And so every interview is going to come out a little bit different. That's what's part of why this content is so powerful. Hosts are going to pull out different sides of you, but be ready with those stories that you're going to tell. And the more that you tell them and the more that you practice this, the better you will get. So let me know in the chat, what is one story? And obviously don't type out the whole story, but just a couple words. What is one story you know you're going to tell on podcast guesting? Is it how you founded your business? Is it some big shift that happened in your life that totally changed the trajectory and led to where you are now? Like, is it this incredible transformation that a client had? Like, what is that one story that you're like, I know I'm going to tell this?
Yeah, there's a great comment in the chat that I just want to highlight from Rebecca. Rebecca said, "How do you know when to be funny when telling a story without looking bad to consumers?" And I want to really highlight this because if you're not a funny person, like you're not a funny person, not everyone is funny, not everyone has comedic timing. Don't try to be funny. But if you're a funny person and you make jokes, even if you have a dark topic, maybe you have dark humor around like a trauma topic, but that's just who you are. I mean, Margie has a podcast called I Get It, Your Dad Died. She's funny and she brings, she can bring levity to really dark topics. Be yourself. Just be yourself. Don't worry about looking bad. If you are being yourself, then your ideal clients are going to be attracted to you. And if they're not, then they're just not your people. So I wouldn't worry about it. Just be yourself.
Yes, be yourself. And someone said it's not authentic if it's planned. So you do want to show up as authentic, and this is where the nuance and the practice comes in. Because if you don't prepare at all, you're probably going to flop your interview. If you haven't thought at all about the stories that you're going to tell, and you show up and they're asking you questions and you're just giving answers, but you're not telling any stories, it's probably not going to be a great interview. So we don't want you memorizing your stories and robotically speaking off a script. These are off the cuff conversations. There's going to be a lot of improv, but being prepared, knowing that this suggested question on my one sheet that most hosts ask me cues me up to tell the story, to work the story. And you can tell the story differently every single time. You can drop them into different places, you can experiment, but some preparation without losing authenticity is really important.
Yeah. And when the more present you are in your podcast interviews, as you work out the nerves of being a podcast guest, the more stories will come up that you haven't thought of in years. I mean, I remember doing a podcast interview and the host asked me a question. I don't remember the question exactly, but it was about the time when I brought Margie on as a co-owner. And that was like a really pivotal time in both of our entrepreneurial journeys. And whatever question she asked me brought up a story that I had never shared out loud before, not because it was like a secret, it just hadn't ever come up. And I'm like, well, that's the story that the universe wants me to share right now. And so you are going to share stories that you have never told before or that you haven't thought about in years. But the only way those stories will be accessible is if you're fully present in the interview. You do your Superman pose before the podcast, you get fully present, you turn off all distractions. We're talking about having some story. Like I've told the story about how I started Interview Connections about a million times. I still tell it like it's the first time because every time somebody hears me say it, they're hearing it for the first time. So that's what we mean. Yes, you want to be present and tell new stories, but also be prepared and sharpen the stories that you're going to tell a lot. So, next, make the host look good. Bring the host into the interview. This is especially important for people that are used to doing keynote talks, motivational speakers. We have a client actually just shared in our client win Slack channel. One of our amazing team members shared some great feedback that they got from a client of ours who's a motivational speaker. I mean, he is an excellent speaker, super compelling, like really an incredible speaker. And his point of contact gave him some really great feedback in the interview audit to allow some pauses so that the host can be a part of the conversation. So, who here is a speaker or you have a lot of experience speaking on stage? Your speaking experience is when you're speaking the entire time, not necessarily in an interview. Say yes if you are a speaker and you're used to, you have a talk prepared. So, one skill that you may decide that you need to work on is allowing it to be a two-way conversation where the host is also getting visibility in that interview. Because some podcast guests who are also speakers, they'll get one question at the beginning of the interview and then talk for 30 minutes because they're like, that's all I need to start to do my talk. But this is a different type of speaking opportunity. This is a conversation. It's a back and forth conversation. So you need to allow the host to contribute their thoughts, allow them to reflect back to you what they hear in your answer. That is going to make for a more interesting interview, and it'll make the host like you more when you give them space to speak as well. Next, claim your authority and your success. This step does have some nuance to it, but it is so important. If you want to get clients from podcast guesting, you need to own your success and claim your authority. There so I'm gonna give you an example here. There's a big difference between me saying, "I founded the first podcast booking agency. We work with successful entrepreneurs and help them grow their brand through podcast guesting." That's one way that I could say it. The other way that I could say it, really claiming my authority and owning my success, is I invented the podcast booking industry when I founded the world's first ever booking agency for podcasts. Our company has been a trailblazer in this industry. We've worked with 1,000 clients who have closed millions of dollars in sales from the podcasts that we booked them on. I am the world's leading expert in podcast guesting. I now know, and it has come from years of practice and confidence building. I claim that. That is true. I own that. But a lot of us are afraid to own it because there may be people who say, "Oh, pipe down." In Australia, they call it the tall poppy syndrome. Like, okay, sit down. Like, you don't need to take up so much space in the room. Take up space. Own your success, claim your authority. Put it in the chat. What do you need to claim when you're a podcast guest that maybe you're afraid of looking egotistical? You don't want to sound arrogant. You don't want people to think that you have a big head. What do you need to claim about your success in business? Put it in the chat right now. Let's start the practice of having that confidence, because when you do claim your authority and own your success, and it's authentic, it's true, it's in alignment, people aren't going to be offended by it. They're going to say, "I feel comfortable having you lead me in whatever you do, whether you're providing a service like we are, whether you're coaching, whatever you're doing, people want to know that you're fully confident in your success so that you have the capacity to lead them too." I want to read some of these. Lori created the very first stem cell based skincare. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Part owner of $87 million in real estate. Nate, holy moly. I'm the very first sensory friendly spot in the state. Amazing. I create lasting transformation for couples to go from okay to amazing. Yes, Penny, I love these. These are inspiring. Kate, we are the first and the leaders in the cattle industry for cattle feed efficiency. We guarantee 30% feed efficiency and are the only ones that can claim that. Incredible. Jennifer, I created a wealth identity transformation program. Amazing. Keep this going. What do you need to claim? Claim it, write it down, and start speaking about it on podcasts.
These are awesome. Number 5, workplace neuroinclusion framework. Denise, that's awesome. Transforming the world and neurodivergence. We love that so much. That's amazing. All right, number 5 is vocal performance. So the tone of your voice in your interviews. All of these, but this one in particular, will get better the more interviews that you do. So a lot of this is practice, but you want your voice to be engaging, pleasant, grounded. It should sound the way that it sounds when you're in conversation with a friend. So it's as normal as it can possibly be, as casual and off the cuff as it can possibly be, because again, these are conversations, they're not necessarily presentations. The more interviews you do, the calmer that you will feel. It helps for our clients. Every 10 interviews, we listen to an interview and we offer feedback. We go through all of these 8 points and give feedback on them. So we offer feedback about their vocal tone, and it's something that you can also listen back to your interviews and hear for yourself. I will say, avoid being overly critical. If you don't listen to your voice a lot, you may listen back to an interview and have a lot of things that you didn't like about your voice. So try to be objective, because Most of the things about your voice that bother you don't bother anyone else. And just listen for, do I sound grounded? Do I sound genuine? Do I sound engaging? Is this how I sound when I'm talking to a friend or a family member? Is it authentic to me? That's the most important thing. Getting embodied and being in a state of nervous system regulation is really important for this. When your nervous system is dysregulated, your vocal tone is higher. And the more regulated you are, the more your vocal tone drops. So, taking a few breaths with a long exhale, feeling your feet on the ground. You can do this right now if you don't have shoes on. Can you feel your feet on the ground? Ground in a little bit. This is going to help your vocal tone, help ground it and land it so that you sound more regulated on your podcast interviews. Number 6, enthusiasm about your topic and a genuine desire to serve and give value. So, this is something that you probably already have. If you're excited to be talking about your company and talking about what you do on podcasts, you probably already have this, but this is really important. It's really important that people can hear that you're passionate about what you're doing and that you have that desire to serve. We actually just recorded a podcast episode, it has not gone live yet, but about the energetics of podcast guesting. And we've worked with thousands of clients, some of our most successful clients, it's not even that they do every tactic and strategy exactly perfect, but they have this magnetic energy because they are so genuine in their desire to connect with other people and to give value. And they're just a magnet for clients. So that energy, that magnetism, that desire to give is what will set you apart as a podcast guest.
Yes. All right. Next, actionable advice. I always say when I'm a podcast guest that my goal is to share as much value as I can in this episode in the time that we have, regardless of whether somebody decides to work with Interview Connections after they hear me. I want them to be able to apply what they're learning and get value and grow their business. So make sure that when you are a guest on podcast, you are giving some specific actionable tips that they can implement right away so that they see value. This is especially important if you do deep work or you do complex work. If you find yourself kind of talking in theory, in big picture, make sure you drill down and give some actionable tips so that people can apply what they're learning to working with you. And this is especially important if you are selling something high ticket because you want people to get that taste of your brilliance by applying what they're learning in your podcast appearance before they make the decision to invest. Number 8, sound and video. This one is straightforward. Use a microphone. When you're a podcast guest, I recommend wearing headphones or AirPods just so you don't have an echo coming back into the recording, and then having a ring light. So Margie and I both have a light in front of, behind our camera behind our laptop so that we are well lit. If we turned that off, it would be very dark and grainy and not fun to watch. So make sure you have some type of ring light or photography lighting. You can get something on Amazon. We'll also be sending it to you if you sign up for our service this week. So go to interviewconnections.com/call. Now, so far, those are the 8 steps to being a great guest, to being ready before and during and after the interview. So, we have talked about being media ready before your interview with your one sheet and how to be a really compelling and confident and engaging guest in the interview. So, let's keep it going.
Yes, let's talk quickly about what to do after the interview because being a great guest does not stop once the interview stops. So, number one, thank the host. You would be shocked how many people don't do this. After you are a guest on someone's podcast, send them a DM or an email and just say, thank you so much. Some people will send like a little card or a little gift, whatever feels right for you, but just something to show that you appreciate it. It's just like that old advice, like when you have a job interview, you always want to reach out to the person who interviewed you and say thank you. It's the same thing with podcast hosts. So that little touch, remember we talked so much yesterday in the value of host relationships. that little touch of like, thank you so much, having that gratitude, making that connection, keeping that connection with the host. And then keep track of your interviews on a spreadsheet with a projected go live date. This is something that we do. We have a co-tracking sheet for all of our clients so that all your bookings are organized in one place. And it's great if you ask the host after the interview, after you stop recording, when they plan to publish it so that you can make a note. Often they'll know, they'll say, hey, it's going to be the second week in October or whatever. So you can make a note to remember to share and promote the interview. They are going to be so grateful and appreciative that you asked and that you want to promote the show. And it goes such a long way into being a great guest who hosts love to interview.
Yeah, Jane said gratitude thanks goes a long way. It really does, especially when hosts are interviewing, over 50, sometimes 100 people a year. The guests that go out of the way to say thank you, and keep that relationship going, they're going to, get more out of that relationship. So, a quick recap so far. Yesterday in session one, we talked all about the secrets to getting clients from podcast guesting, the three main ways that our clients are seeing an ROI: the audience of the show, their own audience, and how they're leveraging their interviews, and the host of the podcast. And then today, we really went into detail on how to be a great guest, because great tactics, but not a great interview. You can't put lipstick on a pig. It's got to be a great interview. You have to be an amazing guest in addition to leveraging the monetization tactics that we talked about in session one. So I want you to give me a yes in the chat right now if you are excited to share your message on podcasts. You're excited to know that there is a strategy where you can just be yourself and attract clients to your business because you're providing value. You can continue to grow your business in a way that you already have through nurturing relationships, strategic networking, and relationship building. So if this is you, I want to tell you right now about our Amplified Authority podcast tour, done for you service, because this could be the absolute perfect way for you to implement everything you're learning this week and growing your business with podcast guesting. So our services at Interview Connections are for you if you are an established, successful entrepreneur and you really value the power of delegation. Give me a yes in the chat if you've grown your business partly by delegating the things that are not in your zone of genius. You know that for you to fully implement podcast guesting and have success with it, it can't be a task. Pitching and the booking work cannot be something that you are also doing. You know, you need to be the person behind the microphone speaking, but you don't have to be the person that's actually researching and pitching the shows. You do not like wasting time on strategies that don't work or that, more importantly, don't energize you, because if it energizes you, it's gonna work. Business is funny that way. There's an energy to business. When you are energized and when you are excited, the universe is going to bring you more clients and more leads, and it's going to help you grow. When something doesn't energize you, it could be a great tactic for somebody else, but it just won't work for you if you're feeling drained by it. So give me a yes in the chat if you're somebody that you know that being a podcast guest and being in conversation, responding to questions, that feels really energizing. And if you need a process for creating more content in your marketing, we touched on this a little bit yesterday with social media, how having content every day on social media, making new videos, writing new posts, it's something that most of us have at the very bottom of our to do list. And only when we realize, oh, I haven't posted in a while, I should get a post up, that's when we're posting. When you're a podcast guest, I'll talk more about this in tomorrow's session. You have an endless stream of thought leadership content that you can repurpose and use on social media, which is so, so exciting. So if any of that is you, you can book a call right now at interviewconnections.com/call. So why should you work with Interview Connections? We were the first podcast booking agency when I started this business in 2013. We were the only game in town, okay? We were the only agency. And now there's many different ways that you can get yourself booked. So let's talk about why you should choose us. Number one, we have over 12 years of experience booking over 40,000 podcast interviews for over 1,000 clients that have used our services to get booked on podcasts. Our clients have generated millions of dollars in sales from podcast guesting. They've become best-selling authors. They've got paid speaking engagements. They've increased their email list, their online footprint, and honestly, most importantly, they've gained so much confidence and clarity in their messaging that has impacted every other area of their business. And as a booking agency, we specialize in working with established entrepreneurs and business owners who feel like the best kept secret. And they know that if the right people hear them speak, they will close more sales. Give me a yes in the chat if you know that if your target audience hears you speak, they'll want to work with you. I'll just shout out Jesus because we talked yesterday. You know, Jesus helps people with their tax debt. So if Jesus is speaking to realtors who are a population of people that tend to have tax debt, he's going to get clients. This is a very no-brainer strategy. So if that is you, you know, if the right people hear me speak, they're going to say yes. They just need to hear me speak. Then this is for you. And we are, unlike courses and coaches that we love, we are a done for you service. We do this for you. Give me a yes if you want something to get done for you. You don't need more homework. You need it done for you. So let's go through exactly what is included in our Amplified Authority podcast tour. Will there be replays of these videos? Yes, we will drop a link in the chat to the replay page. You'll have access till September 15th at midnight to the replays. Included in our done for you service is a professionally designed podcast one sheet and a media kit. So we talked about this today. We have a professional designer on our team. We will design your podcast one sheet for you. You don't have to worry about that. Also, guaranteed bookings on established podcast that fit your unique criteria. We have 2 packages that I'll go over in a few minutes, 30 bookings, 48 booking packages. So when you sign up with us, you will get that number of podcast bookings guaranteed. And our service is so much more than just getting you booked on podcasts. We're here to help you grow your business. And so we are also going to audit one of your interviews after each 10 bookings that we get for you. So once we make your one sheet, create your criteria, and start pitching and booking you on podcasts, when we've gotten you on 10 shows, your point of contact is going to reach out to listen to one of your interviews, give you personalized feedback and coaching on how to be a better guest, and also have a one-on-one call with you to do a retrospective of those last 10 bookings. You may be going on a variety of different types of podcasts. So at that point, we can say, okay, which of these types of shows are you enjoying the most? Which host was your favorite? Are there any topics on your one sheet that you want to change up a little bit? Maybe you don't like the way your bio is phrased and we want to switch it up. So we're going to be having those calls with you as we're auditing your podcast appearances and getting feedback from you as you're out there, on the court playing the game. We also have an incredible client network community. We host group calls for our clients. We host networking calls every quarter. I host a celebration call. So once a month, you can join me on Zoom and tell me your wins. Tell me what you are celebrating. Which host did you love working with? How are you feeling about your confidence? Which shows are bringing in leads and sales? So there's an opportunity not just for us to get you on podcasts, but to also plug into this incredible network. We have over 100 clients. And so there's this just incredible network to plug into. Now, our service is not for everyone. So I want to go through a little bit about who this is for. So if you are excited to speak on podcasts and you love that there's a service that will do it for you, then this is for you. Say yes in the chat. If your best content flows when you are responding to questions, this is for you. Even if you have a full client load, I know many of you are here because you want more clients, you want more sales. But one of our amazing clients, Jonathan Bennett, he's a consultant and he's like, I have a full client load. I have a wait list. He gets on podcasts so that he can, I think the metaphor he uses is like keep planting seeds, keep people following him so that when there's an opening, he always has somebody ready to work with him. And if you know that when people hear you speak, they want to work with you, then you need to be speaking, my friend. Getting on podcasts and speaking on a regular basis, it just puts your marketing on the best type of autopilot. I was actually just sharing in our Instagram story yesterday how, I get on podcasts every single month. I just had a podcast come out. It already has over 3,000 views on the host YouTube channel. He's promoting it more. And I looked at our podcast downloads and I'm like, wow, like we have really solid download numbers on our podcast. And I'm thinking it's because I'm out there guesting. I don't even, because it's so fun when I'm a guest on podcasts, I don't feel like I'm like marketing and like doing this task and like pushing things out and like promoting. I'm just naturally responding, getting in front of my audiences. And don't you know, people are listening to our podcast and joining our email list and booking calls. Like it just creates this flow where it doesn't feel so hard, you know? So it's really, really fun. Now, ours, like I said, our service is not for everyone. So if you don't have a business yet, or you have an idea for a business, but you don't have any clients, you're still kind of putting the puzzle pieces together, then our service may not be for you quite yet. Um, or if you really struggle to like you struggle to monetize podcast appearances, yes, if you don't have any clients. So if you just don't have a business yet, and there are some industries that we just don't work with. So if you're not, I'm not going to list them all out here, but book a call if you're interested. And if we cancel your call, we'll email you and let you know why. So don't take it personally. We work with a ton of different industries, but there are a few that we don't work with. So we'll just let you know that when you schedule. Now, we have two main packages. So I'm going to go over the investment now. We have a package of 30 podcast interviews, which is normally 17K if you pay in full or 9 payments of 2000 a month. And then we have a package of 48 bookings, which is normally 25,555 or 12 payments of 2,222. If you sign up by Monday, September 15th at midnight, you will get a discount because I love action takers. I love people who say, yes, I'm ready, and they sign up. And when you do that, when you move at the speed of, yes, I'm ready, yes, this is right for me, you're going to get a discount. And that's super fun. So the package of 30 bookings would come down to paid in full 15,500 if you pay for the whole package at once, or you could do 10 payments of 1750. The package of 48 bookings would be 24,000 paid in full or 12 payments of 2,097. Everyone who signs up during this masterclass will get the equipment bundle. So the microphone stand, and the ring light will send you the equipment as a bonus. And then there are some special bonuses for those of you who pay in full by September 15th at midnight. We will write your one sheet for you. So we'll design it for everyone, but those who pay in full, we're going to write your bio for you. We're going to write your interview topics and your suggested questions. That is a bonus for paying in full. And the very first 3 people, this bonus is only open for the first 3 people to pay in full. So make sure you schedule a consultation call as soon as possible at interviewconnections.com/call. I will personally audit one of your interviews. So if you want the world's leading expert on podcast guesting to listen to one of your podcast appearances in full and give you personalized feedback and coaching, be one of the first 3 people to pay in full for one of these 2 packages by Monday, September 15th at midnight. Interviewconnections.com/call is where you can schedule your consultation, get on Zoom with us, get your questions answered, and get started. So say yes in the chat if you have scheduled your consultation call and you are excited to talk with us, get your questions answered, and get signed up. Now we are going to do the microphone giveaway. So let's do a virtual drum roll, and we are going to choose our second winner for the free microphone. So let's go. All right, Nate Lambert. Congrats, Nate. Awesome. So Nate Lambert is the winner of today's microphone giveaway. Nate, I will reach out to you to get your mailing address so we can send you your prize. Thank you so much for being here live. Congratulations. Yay. It's a great day to win. Awesome. All right. Interviewconnections.com/call. Schedule your consultation. This will be a one-on-one Zoom call with myself or with Margie, where we will talk with you a little bit more about your business, get all of your questions answered. We can walk you through everything I just talked about, get all of your questions answered, and help get you signed up. If you are unsure if this is a fit, but you're interested, schedule a call. Don't be afraid. We're super nice. What you see here is what you're going to get on Zoom. So schedule your consultation call. Margie, do you want to say anything else before we wrap things up?
Yeah, book a call with us. If you're not sure, book a call. We will talk it through with you too. If you have questions about your specific business, or if you're like, I have these 2 focuses, I don't know what I want to do, or like, is this right for podcast casting? We will give you our honest thoughts and coaching and opinion.
Yes. Book a call. Awesome. I love your offering. Thanks for a wonderful Zoom meeting. Thanks so much. The lucky seven. Thanks for booking a call. Yes, schedule a call. Just schedule a call at interviewconnections.com/call so we can talk, and then come back tomorrow for session 3. We're going to talk all about how to repurpose your podcast interviews. I will be sharing my screen and showing you how to use AI to take your podcast appearances and turn them into clips for social media. So it's going to be a super actionable session. You don't want to miss it. So come back tomorrow for session 3, same time, same Zoom link, and schedule your call, interviewconnections.com/call. Yay, Kathleen scheduled. Woo! Can't wait to talk to you, Kathleen. All right, we'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.